Greetings, everyone. Dr. Joe here. This meditation is called the Blessing of the Energy Centers with Symbols, or the Blessing of the Energy Centers 2. Now, up until this point in Blessings 1, our training has been to place our attention in each one of these centers and then become aware of the space around each of these centers. And as we tune into the energy or frequency of each center, since frequency carries information, as we can receive the energy into each center, we can reprogram each center one by one with the intention of giving new life to life and organized matter to a new mind or to a new energy. So when you place your attention in each center, you're practicing a type of focus called a convergent focus or a narrow focus. You are focusing on matter or the particle in quantum physics. And when you tune into energy around each center, you're practicing a divergent focus or an open focus. And you are becoming aware of energy or frequency. And that frequency carries information to instruct matter. And the autonomic nervous system then can begin to draw from each frequency which carries those instructions. And once it gets the instructions, it knows exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's automatically or autonomically use that energy carrying those instructions to create more balance or order in the physical body. Because the purpose of the autonomic nervous system is to create balance or homeostasis. And in order for you to do that, you'll have to know how to change your brain waves and slow them down from beta to alpha or theta, and get beyond the analytical mind so that you can enter the operating system of the autonomic nervous system where true change can happen. Now, before we begin, I want to talk to you about a few things because knowledge is the precursor to experience. So now, I'd like to advance the teaching of the Blessing of the Energy Centers 1 so that you can specifically instruct matter to a new mind based on your own personal needs. So it makes sense then that the more knowledge you have, the more prepared you are for an experience. And the more you intellectually understand that knowledge, the more you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, the how gets easier. And you can assign meaning to what you're doing and produce better results or outcomes. In other words, you're more effective. So let's talk for a few minutes and review some concepts about matter and energy. Everything in our known universe is made up or emits light and frequency or information. Energy and consciousness, feelings and thoughts, or emotion, energy and motion. Your conscious intentions always carry specific instructions. That means that your body is not only made up of information and light, but you as a conscious or unconscious being are continuously sending and receiving light and information. You're sending information out and you're receiving information because that's what particles do. And you are made of particles. Therefore, you're both particle and wave, matter and energy. Now, the energy centers of your body are centers of information. They have their own individual frequency or energy, and since frequency carries information or intention, they have their own level of consciousness. We also know that each one of these energy centers have their own specific glands, and those glands make certain hormones or chemicals, and they're equipped with a plexus of neurons that correlate with each center, mini brains, if you will. And when you have a group of neurons connected together, or a plexus of neurons wired together, when they're activated with energy, these little mini brains then, or neurological tissue, begin to activate and you produce a level of mind. So each energy center has its own mind, because each one has its neurological tissue. And when energy is being facilitated into each one of these centers, that energy, that specific frequency that's carrying specific instructions, begins to activate each individual center to produce a mind. And mind is neurological tissue in action. So the first center has its own mind, as most of you know. If you think certain thoughts, or your brain is processing a stream of consciousness, since each thought has its own frequency, or that each stream of consciousness is being carried on a certain energy, the frequency of that thought activates energy in that little mini brain in your first center. And once energy activates your first center, it has its own level of mind, its own consciousness. Your gut has its own level of mind. It has a high number of neurological connections, and that's why people say they feel it in their gut or they can trust their gut. Because once you activate that center with energy, it has its own mind. Your heart has its own mind. It's made up of 40,000 neurons that acts as a plexus that fire in specific sequence patterns and combinations that produce its own level of mind. And it's a center of information. And when you feel love, compassion, gratitude, when you trust, when you give, energy moves into your heart center and you activate a different mind. You're at a different level of consciousness. The thyroid center, your fifth center, has its own gland and has its own plexus of neurons or mini brain. And when you feel love in your heart in the form of energy, you have to express it or vocalize your truth. So when energy moves from the fourth center to the fifth center, that center has its own different level of mind and you express through that center. Another example, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland are also individual glands that have their own plexuses of neurons that can house and receive specific information. And when energy or frequency carries information, it activates these centers, and the associated neurological tissues produce different levels of mind. So now we know that the hormones of stress, when you live by the fight or flight reaction, when you're living in survival, you draw from the vital field of energy surrounding your body, and you take that field of energy and you turn it into chemistry. And the field around your body shrinks. In other words, you're becoming more matter and less energy. We also know that by living by the cocktail of stress hormones for an extended period of time, the arousal of those chemicals causes you to shift your attention to different people and objects and problems and conditions in your life. And every one of those different elements has a neurological network in your brain. So the arousal of stress hormones drives the brain into high beta patterns, and your brain becomes very incoherent because different compartments of the brain that were normally communicating or working together begin to subdivide, and they no longer communicate well with each other. So the consequence of chronic stress creates incoherence in your brain. Now, the first three centers of your body are the centers that represent survival. The first center is our center of sexuality, or our sexual identity, or our center of reproduction. It has all the equipment, the glands and hormones and neurological tissue, and organs for that function. And nature, in its brilliant design, made it feel pleasurable or good so that we continue propagating our species through reproduction. When you use this center to create another life, it takes a lot of energy to make a baby. There is a release of energy during orgasm. The second center has a lot to do with consumption or digestion. When you feel safe and secure, energy moves into this center and we can ingest, consume, metabolize, digest, assimilate, and excrete. It takes a lot of energy to perform all of these autonomic functions. In other words, it takes a lot of energy to break food down to make energy. And when there's food and shelter and warmth and community and relationships and social structures, this center is in balance and it works optimally. When there's an absence of any of these factors, this center can move out of balance and order, and we feel discomfort, pain, sadness, or suffering. The third center is the center of our will or our empowerment. and it's where our fight or flight nervous system is activated. We use an enormous amount of the body's resources to fight or flee from unsafe conditions or challenges in our environment. And the third center is also an energy consumer. When you feel control, aggression, empowerment, competitive, dominating, successful, this center, it takes a lot of energy to execute and overcome the conditions in our environment. And it makes sense that fear and anger are some of the emotions that we feel when we use this center's energy. Now, that works well in the world of the animal kingdom. But the long-term overutilization of these centers, whether we're over-sexual, over-consuming, whether we're over-stressed, consumes vital energy. And the result of it, the overutilization of these energy centers, begins to send very incoherent messages to the body. And we're continuously stealing vital energy from the heart center and the higher centers above, and we're turning it into chemistry. In a sense, we're drawing from the invisible field of energy that's surrounding your body, and we're using it to make chemistry. So the long-term effects of the hormones of stress, according to our brain research, the different compartments of the brain that begin to become aroused and subdivide and compartmentalize begin to send a very disintegrated or incoherent signal down the central nervous system to each one of these individual energy centers. And so the brain then, through the autonomic nervous system, sending very incoherent messages down the central nervous system, causes these plexus of neurons to begin to fire incoherently, and the corresponding energy from each one of these centers sends very incoherent messages to the cells and tissues and organs in the corresponding parts of the body. As a result of the incoherent message that's coming from the brain down the central nervous system, like static on a wire, begins to cause the hormonal expression and nerve conductivity going to those organs and tissues and cells in the body, and it begins to function very incoherently. And we begin to create dis-ease or imbalance. Now, our intention in this meditation is do the exact same thing that we've done up until this point. But now we want to rest our attention in each one of these centers and tune in to very specific frequencies that are carrying information and consciously direct that energy into each center. And as you place your attention in each center, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So I'm going to ask you to place your attention in each center, to find it, to feel it, to stay aware of it, to stay connected to it, and then become conscious and aware of the energy around each one of these centers. And as you place your attention in each center, a convergent focus, and you become aware of the space around each center, a divergent focus, you're focusing on particle and wave, matter and energy. And because you know how to change your brain waves and slow them down, you can get into the operating system of the autonomic nervous system, then you can begin to tune into that particular frequency and receive. And because this is part 2 of the blessing of the energy centers, I'm going to direct your attention to each one of these centers, and as the meditation progresses, I'm going to ask you to become aware of the space your perineum is in. That's your first center. To rest your attention in the space behind your belly button and slightly below it. That's your second center. I'll ask you to rest your attention in the pit of your gut, where your stomach is, right below your sternum. That's your third center. I'll ask you to rest your attention in the place behind your breastbone, where your heart exists. That's your fourth center. Your fifth center, the center of your throat. The sixth center, between the back of your head and the back of your throat. The seventh center, right in the center of your head. And the eighth center, about 16 inches or 34 centimeters above your head. I'm going to ask you to sense that space. So now, I may say rest your attention in your perineum, and then you may hear me say 1. Then I may say rest your attention below your navel and slightly behind it in your abdomen. Then I'll say 2. Then I'll say the pit of your gut, and then I'll call it 3, and so on. So then each center, as you narrow your focus on that center, that's your target. And as you become aware of the space around each center, whether it's your hips, your lower abdomen, your torso, your chest, around your back, around your neck, around your head, around the higher part of your head, all I want you to do is sense a beach ball of energy. And as you keep your attention in each one of those centers, you're activating that little mini brain with energy. And as you tune in to the energy of each center, you are beginning to create coherence in each one of those little mini brains. And then when we climb all the way up to the 8th center, I'm going to ask you to become aware of the space around your body in space. And as you're sensing that space, that teardrop of energy that's about the size or the length of your arms at your fingertips in a 360-degree fashion, that's your own personal energy field. And it is the accumulation of atoms and molecules and cells and tissues and organs and systems of your body emitting your own light and information. So I'm telling you this now because I don't want to spend a lot of time during the meditation giving you instructions. I'm just going to say the first center, the second center, the third center, the fourth center, and so on, and you should know where they are. And if you've been practicing resting your awareness in the space that your body occupies in space, if you're a beginner, and the space around your body in space, you've been in training. So this should be easy. And if you're getting better results because your mind isn't wandering, that's because you've been practicing those disciplines all along. Now, let's talk about the symbol. Your brain is integrated or mapped through your own personal interaction in your environment or your own personal reality. Your autobiographical history from the things you learn and experience causes you to assign meaning to different things or symbols that are stored neurologically in your own personal brain. So everybody has their own different association to different symbols based on who they are in their life. Some symbols may have the same meaning for everyone, and other symbols may have a different meaning for everyone. For example, if you're thinking about a symbol for wealth, some people may see a gold coin or dollar bills, or they may see a dollar sign. Some people may see a big house in their mind with a car in front of it. If a person wants freedom and they think about freedom, they may see a pair of wings in their mind, or someone standing on the top of a mountain with their hands above their head in celebration. If someone wants love in their life, they may see a heart, or they may think about a pet, or a particular person, or a particular thing. And by association, they're correlating that symbol as a way to represent an experience or an intentional event. So then, we are going to use very specific symbols for each energy center, and that symbol is for you to tune into a very specific frequency that's carrying information that is going to specifically instruct matter with a new energy. And because it has conscious meaning to you, as you tune into the energy of that symbol and tune into that very specific frequency, that frequency carrying information can begin to reprogram that individual center with new instructions. So the symbol is a signature of a specific frequency that you are assigning meaning to. So if you were to place your attention in any one of these energy centers and tune into the energy around the center, and if I ask you to begin to tune in to the frequency of a specific symbol, that symbol would represent a specific instruction or orders or some type of direction of energy, so that your autonomic nervous system would receive very specific messages, and it would take over and begin the automatic change. In other words, There's nothing that you have to do except to tune into the frequency of each symbol and each energy center and receive. And once you find your target, that is, each energy center in your body, and become aware of the space around each energy center, and you tune into the energy of your symbol and receive, your autonomic nervous system that automatically creates balance and harmony is going to take those instructions and it's begin to organize it into order and balance. And that's because your autonomic nervous system already knows how to do it way better than you and I know how to do it. And since atoms are made of particles and waves, matter and energy, and it's energy that instructs matter, the atoms have a field of information around them. And that field of information is what instructs matter. In other words, Einstein said, the field is the sole governing agent of the particle. That he didn't say the particle controls the particle. He said the field controls matter. And as you begin to influence the field, you can begin to influence matter. That's because the energy of the field is what informs matter. So think about this. If you take two atoms, and atoms have a nucleus and a field around it, and electrons are appearing and disappearing. If you take those two atoms and you bring them together and they bond and they share a field of information, they form a molecule. Now that molecule has different physical qualities and characteristics once the fields begin to exchange information. And the sharing of that information is holding matter and organizing matter into a molecule. And the molecule has very different properties once it's bonded together because it's sharing information. And if you can organize molecules and those molecules can share more fields of information, you create more complex chemicals. And those chemicals can form into cells in the body, and cells can organize into tissues, and tissues can organize into organs, and organs can create systems. In each one of these individual elements are building blocks from a field of information that causes cells to organize into tissues and behave in certain ways, and organs to begin to form systems, and those systems have individual functions. And each one of those organs and systems have their own individual morphogenic fields. So let's get to the symbol and let's go over a couple examples of a symbol. For example, let's just say that in your body you have chronic fatigue because your adrenal glands are tired because you spent the last 2 years living in stress. So then what symbol could you use that could begin to instruct this center with specific information to begin to give it energy? You could use a lightning bolt. Or if you have a heart condition or some type of arrhythmia or a coronary blockage and you want to give your heart specific instructions, a new energy, a new frequency, you may draw a symbol of a heart with a happy face. If you feel like your brain or your mind is out of balance and you're losing your memory, you could create the image of a scale that represents balance. And the way you assign meaning to each of these symbols is the way you interpret what that symbol means. So in effect, you can begin to specifically further instruct matter as a free-willed conscious individual and begin to tune into frequencies, and those symbols represent very specific frequencies. So as you tune in to the energy of your symbol, and you're resting your attention in each one of these centers, and you're aware of the energy around each of these centers, and you can tune in and receive, then you are organizing your atoms and molecules and chemicals and cells and tissues and organs and systems of your body to draw from a new field of information. And that field of information is the instruction that begins to cause energy to organize matter into different patterns. So we could see chemical changes in the body because the hormones and the chemicals are a downward causation of energy or frequency because it's the field that controls matter. And you can create physiological changes in your body by changing the energy in each center. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to ask you to take out a piece of paper and draw a body, arms, legs, head, shoulders, a silhouette of a body as if it was laying on its back. And then starting from the bottom, I want you to draw 8 different energy centers over the different parts of that body. Now just do it because it's going to help you to remember. The first center, then the second center above that, then the third center, the fourth center, the fifth center, the sixth, the seventh, and then the 8th above your head. Now, because each one of these centers has their own level of mind, as we've discussed, and because each one has different energy or frequencies, then those frequencies already exist in the field, then all you have to do is tune in to the energy of your symbol. So if you wanted to create more energy in your first center, if you have an imbalance in one of the organs or tissues that are associated with that part of your body, if you have low back pain, pain down your legs, if you have bladder problems, if you have reproductive problems, if you have lower bowel problems, you can begin to program this center for more balance. And now think about a symbol that you could use. I personally use the symbol of the caduceus because it represents the movement of energy from my first center all the way to my brain. And that's the interest that I have. I want that energy to begin to move up. Now, if you have digestive problems and you have problems with your uterus or you have problems with your colon or your large intestine, and you're not digesting properly or you're constipated, this is the center of consumption. So then you may want to create a furnace that represents breaking down food particles. You may want to create coherent lines that represent more coherence or balance. If you have food allergies, digestive problems in your upper bowel, if you have high liver enzymes, or you have acid reflux or sensitivities in digestion, you could create a smiley face in this center to represent balance. Or if you have problems with fertility, you could put a nest in your first center or your second center. Some people like to use colors. Some people just use words. Words are symbols also. The third center, your center of will or empowerment, inner strength. Again, a lightning bolt, a sword. That represents will or strength. Some people that are out of balance in their stress hormones, they use scales as well. I know people that put a light bulb in this center. Some people put a horse, a galloping wild horse. Some people draw those coherent waves of energy. Again, it's very specific to you personally. Some people draw rays of light around the specific organ, and those rays of light mean that the organ, to them, is emitting more coherent light or information. Your fourth center, your heart. Some people place a heart with wings in that center, or a smiley face in their heart. Some people put a flower that blooms there that represents a deepening of love, or a cup overflowing, representing an enormous amount of joy in their life. Some people put the yin-yang sign there because that is the center that represents the union of polarities. I like to put a flame in this area. It represents my soul and awakening. But there's numerous symbols that you can create. Your fifth center, the center of truth, you can put a scroll in this area, which represents that your words become law. Some people put a heart in the center because it represents the expression of love. A megaphone represents that their voice command or affect matter. If you have an organ damaged in your fifth center, or an organ or a gland that's out of balance, you can put a ray of light coming around your neck. You can create those coherent lines again. The sixth center, my favorite center, the pineal gland, that's the alchemist within. It has all these wonderful metabolites of melatonin that create all kinds of mystical experiences. So what would be the symbol of an alchemist? Maybe a mortar and pestle, maybe a wizard's hat, maybe the all-seeing eye, maybe a radio receiver, maybe opening curtains to see through the veil. It's up to you. If you're interested in having more lucid dreams, you could draw a caption, like a thought caption with an alchemical symbol in it. As you tune into the specific frequencies that are more direct radio stations to produce more specific frequencies that each center can facilitate, the frequency will begin to change the chemical signature of the neurotransmitters and the neural hormones in your brain, and you should have some pretty wonderful experiences. So in the sixth center, as you tune into specific information in the field, that information will slow down and instruct different chemical signatures that will change the neurotransmitters and neurohormones and that particular part of your brain, and you should have some very wonderful experiences. The seventh center, the pituitary gland, this is the gland that represents harmony. It influences all the other energy centers of the body. It's been called the master gland. Some people put a harp in this center. Some people see a lotus blooming. Some people see it enriched in vibrant and electric. Some people put a light bulb or a sunrise that represents enlightenment. Whatever symbol you like, place it in this center. Now that eighth center, 16 inches above your head, what the Egyptians called the Ka, is the door to the cosmos. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to draw a door. It represents being connected or being open to the cosmos. An eclipse or a sliver of the moon with the sun behind it, representing the cosmos. A whirlpool of energy coming into the top of your head could represent downloading information from the field or the cosmos. Some people put rays of light coming out, which represents cosmic energy or receiving cosmic energy. People can put an arrow that's pointing down, and that arrow pointing down towards the top of the head could represent cosmic information entering the brain. Any symbol that you choose that is personal to you is fine, because you're assigning your own personal meaning to it. Now, we will climb up and we will tune in and reprogram each one of these centers. And then as the music builds and you finish the eighth center, I'm going to ask you to become aware of the space around your body and space. I want you to tune in to your own energy, your own field, and radiate and glow. And what type of energy would you like to emit that is carrying information into the field? Whatever you send out, think about this, you will receive. So tune in, receive, and it's important to feel. And if you see yourself a certain way, whatever that image is, or the image of yourself, I want you to just begin to glow and radiate this energy. It could be the energy of wholeness, to become more enlightened, to be more loving, to be more transformed. But the key is when you get to this place, I just want you to feel, and I'll help you with this. So by filling this field of information around you, you are broadcasting a very specific signature into the field. And the longer you're sensing the space around your body in space, and remember, where you place your attention is where you place your energy, you are building a very coherent field with a very high frequency around your body. And matter should begin to be lifted to a new mind. And it makes sense then that as you do this properly, and your body is emitting more coherent light and information, on a biological level, because the atoms, the molecules, the chemicals that make up the cells that form the tissues and the organs and the systems of your body can draw from a new field of light and a new field of information, a new consciousness, a more coherent energy. that begins to change matter to a new mind. I hope you enjoy it. Sit up. Eyes closed. Take a breath. And relax. Your body feel your body and relax it. And relax. Into nothing. It's all around you. And become aware the space your perineum occupies. In space. Find it. Feel it. Stay aware of it, giving it life, with your attention in one. That's energy. In one. And tune in to its energy. And feel it within you. And all around you. And feel it with one. And tune in to the energy of your symbol. With one, find it. Feel it. Stay connected to it. And tune in and receive into one. That's energy in one. Become aware the space behind and below your navel. Find him. Feel it. Pay attention to it. Giving it life. With your awareness. Into in nothing. That's energy. Into and tune in to this center's energy. Feel it within you. Two. And all around you. Sense it. Notice it. With two. Stay connected to it. And tune in to the frequency of your symbol. Find it. And receive. Into 2. Feel it. Experience it. That's energy. In 2. In nothing. And receive. To 2. Become aware. The space. In the pit. Of your gut. Find it. Feel it. Stay aware. Giving it energy. With your attention. In 3. That's energy. In 3. And tune in to this center's energy. Within you, in 3, and all around you. Sense it. Notice it. Feel your connection to it. With 3. Tune in to the frequency of your symbol. With 3, it's all around you. Tune in receive the 3. Feel it. Experience it. With 3, that's energy. In 3, in nothing. And receive the 3. Become aware of the space, your sacred heart occupies in space. Find it. Feel it. Feel into your heart. Giving it life with your attention. That's energy. In 4, feel it within you. And all around you. And tune in to its energy. In nothing. And feel it with your heart. And tune in to the energy of your symbol. Sense it with your heart. And receive. Feel it. Experience it. Enjoy it. That's energy in your heart. In nothing. And become aware of the space. Your throat. Occupies Notice it. Aware of it. Giving it life. With your attention. That's energy. In 5, in nothing, feel it in your throat, and tune in to this center's energy. Feel it within you. In 5, and all around you. In nothing. Feel it with 5. And tune in to the frequency of your symbol, giving matter a new mind. Feel it. Tune in. And receive. Into your throat. Feel it. Experience it. In 5, that's energy. In 5, in nothing. And become aware of the space between the back of your throat. And the back of your head. In nothing. Find it. Stay connected to it. In 6, in nothing, that's energy. In 6, and tune in to this center's energy. Find it. Feel it. Within you. In 6, and all around you. In nothing. And tune in to the energy of your symbol. Sense it. With 6, and receive. In nothing, that's energy. In 6, notice it. In 6, programming the center with a new mind. And feel with 6. In nothing. And become aware of the space. In the center of your head. In nothing. Find it. Feel it. Stay connected to it. Give it life. With your attention. In 7. That's energy. And 7. In nothing. And tune in to the energy of this center. Sense it. Notice it. Experience it. With 7. Within you. And all around you. With 7. And tune in to the energy of your symbol. And tune in and receive. Into 7. Feel it. Experience it. In 7. In nothing. That's energy. In 7. In nothing. And become aware of the space above your head. In nothing. Sense it. Notice it. Feel your connection to it. In nothing. That's energy. innate, and as an awareness, become aware that you're inside this center as a thought, an awareness. In nothing. Tune in to this center's energy. Sense it. Feel it. Experience it. That's energy. Innate. And tune in to this center's energy. And tune in to the energy of your symbol. Sense it. Feel it. And receive. And wait. In nothing. That's energy. Innate. In nothing. And become aware of the energy of space around your body. In space. Your light radiating from within you. And all around you. And tune in to your energy. And feel it. It's your light. within you. And all around you. Sense it. Feel it. That's energy. Within you. And all around you. That's life. And remember, this feeling. In nothing. Now slowly bring your awareness back to a new body. To a new life. To a whole new time. And when you're ready, you can present yourself to the world of 3 dimensions. In this space and time. By opening your eyes to life.